welcome to the Petey Performance Podcast. Good to have you. We have the 100%. You have the run of the show down here. I came into the Care House Hotel. They said I better give them a shout out as well. But they said a funny fact: you've actually been married here. This is where you were married a few years ago.
Robert was hanging out to dry. Yeah, the Care GA Club had a fundraiser here a few years back, and reluctantly, I thought it'd be great crack myself, nominate myself to be the bride. So we had a big, massive, we had the wedding actually here in Care House, and I'd say there was 300 people at it, 400 people at it, all properly dressed as if you're going to a wedding. And we had the false priest and the whole lot, but it was absolutely insane. It was my first time doing something like that, but after I did it, I was like, we were actually planning on doing the divorce then, a year later. But yeah, no, it was great.
You never got around to the divorce then, did you?
No, we didn't. We're still together.
Oh. Did you have a hen, or was the wedding?
We had the hen party here as well. Yeah, one night we'd all the buntons and the whole lot going. It was great.
Sure, no wonder you've run the place here. So if you're having the wedding, you're at the hen, and you have the divorce coming
but
as
he
well.
never told you about the engagement. The engagement happened in the jeweler when we went in and got the ring in the jewelers, and it's all videoed. And we went down anyway, and James was your man, and they said, oh, you should get down on one knee now in front of the castle because that's a landmark. So next thing I got down on one knee, and the traffic lights are never red in Care. They're just halfway down the street here and they turn red, and the queue going back along, and I was like, oh my god, this is so embarrassing. And next thing, people started beeping the horns.
They think it was
they genuinely thought it was a serious proposal. So anyway, that night I went up on Facebook and I seen a load of people comment on there being like, oh my god, this is actually, we thought this is real today, this is only fake. But the views we were getting going down the street, it was so funny.
So you know what to expect now when James actually pops the question down in a few years.
Jesus.
No, so what have you been at today? You're in sales now, are you? You're not teaching yet.
Yeah, no, I qualified last year after 5 years being in DCU in Dublin. I went the long route. I failed module in second year. So
what you failed?
Physics.
I had physics. Paul Van Kampen. Yeah. We won't have base them now as well, but it's tough. Like.
Yeah, no. Considering I was someone who even in secondary school wouldn't have been great at maths, I'd be struggling with Orion level. So I wasn't surprised at the time, but it kind of gave me an opportunity then to take up new things. And middle of that, I did a leadership course, got the opportunity to take up different things. I got more time myself. I even went to see a speed coach, actually Phil Healy's coach, Shane McCormack. So I didn't last too long with him either. But yeah, no, then the injury happened in June. So it was kind of go teaching, take this on. I didn't really know what I wanted.
PE will be very hard as well if you're on your feet all day. Like
yeah, and I actually, even now, I'm a year now in June, and I still can't understand how people have time to even rehab it. It actually genuinely takes up so much of your day. Even this morning, I told you the gym, and you're putting aside at least 2-3 hours just to get that bit done in the morning. But I then just decided that sales was always something I kind of had in the back of my head as well. So I thought that this is the perfect option to go try it out with Gaelic Armour. It's a GA brand. So I went in with them, met Billy. First time I met him, I was talking to him for 3 hours, and he's just dead on, and everyone up there is dead on, and I'm loving it. Yeah, I'm involved with them.
You're in the right place for selling Gaelic gear, like GA gear in Tipperary as well. Like in Munster, like there has to be a good appetite for it, I'm sure.
There definitely is, but I think GA gear in general, like everyone goes mad for it. And one thing I definitely found out being involved is the passion that people have for gear. Yeah. It's literally, it's like going to mass. It's just when they get gear in the door, it's like Santa's coming in the door. It's amazing, because I remember the guys we talking about it before I started, and then when I got into it, then I couldn't get over the passion for gear and how people take it
so seriously.
It's life and death matter, like, you know.
There's always one person on every team that's like, I'll sort the gear.
That's me. Yeah, I just do it because girls are too lazy to do it. They won't do nothing for themselves.
Do you spend ages on there kind of designing or fiddling around with it and seeing what different type of styles you're going to go with and whatnot?
Yeah, it's even the guy who even Bob was one of our designers, like he's absolutely amazing, and every time designs come back, they're just insane. But even myself at the club, I constantly be getting him to do stuff on the side, even though they mightn't be asking for gear, just pre-prepping for 2024, what we're going to have in that year.
100%. So then with the knee rehab, like obviously you suffered the ACL tear. It's a year ago now, is it?
A year in June, yeah. 6th of June, I think it was.
And you had a couple of setbacks since then, but what stage are you at now with the rehab and how are you finding it?
Well, yeah, I have another setback now where they screwed in the screw for the ACL. I got it done in Santry, and basically I've been having trouble. I'll start from the start because it's easier. 3 weeks after the operation, I twisted my knee.
Yeah.
So I got patellar tendon reconstruction, and where the patellar tendon was stitched.
Did they took the graft from your patellar tendon?
Patellar tendon. So it was a nasty enough one now. I remember even making up from the operation. I was like, oh Jesus. It was honestly like getting a hit of a hurley into the shin. That's the level of pain. But some people end up no pain. And then others, I was one of the ones then who had loads of pain. But 3 weeks after operation, first time French outside the house, was really slow to get off the crutches and stuff, but was going great. And anyway, I twisted my knee on a step, landed on the step, didn't even see it. And then I couldn't even do a straight leg raise. So the physio then thought it was my meniscus. So I went back and got MRI. It wasn't meniscus, ended up being a bruised bone, but this constant pain was going on at the front of the knee. Obviously, I just got a tendon taken from there. So they were like, oh, this is normal. It was going on for months. So that was July, I got the operation. Come November, it was still like 9 out of 10 pain. Even getting up on a step, going from clutch to accelerator, ended up being a tear in that.
So they thought it was a tendinopathy, really, like because
they just thought it was tendonitis from taking the tendon. But then it came up in MRI then afterwards that it was actually a tear. There's a tear going straight down along kind of the middle of it. So I ended up getting a Prp injection on the 16th of December. And they took the blood, or took the protein from my blood, injection under ultrasound, and the minute I stood up, pain-free.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
I thought something else was coming there.
It was amazing. I remember getting off the bed. It was a rotten experience. I remember getting off the bed and I was just like, oh my God. It was the first time I actually could walk up the stairs and walk down the stairs. So then I only did 2 weeks rehab from July to December.
Yeah, because
couldn't do anything. No, screaming in the gym with pain. I thought it was normal.
That must have been really frustrating from a standpoint that you're trying to like communicate that, look, I'm in pain here, and everybody's telling you, yeah, no, that's okay, that's fine, and you're like, no, I'm actually in pain.
Yeah, it got to the stage where I felt like I was going insane.
You were like, am I mad? Like,
am I mad? Genuinely, because everyone was like, no, and even the physios are great, like I can't take anything from them, but they were just kind of saying, Joe, it's genuine, like it's going to be like that, like, and I'm like, no, this is way worse than what it is. Like it would even be in bed. I couldn't bring my leg up to my thigh lying in bed and stuff. Like it was really, really bad. Like, but then in January I started my rehab for the first time, and I just had this pain for 2 or 3 months, and they keep going on about the quad. So I was like, build up the quad, the pain's going to go, just kind of on the giant line. Anyway, physio thought it was the hamstring coming down and tendons trying onto the front. So we did everything to kind of isolate that and take the pressure off with exercises. Got an MRI done, and basically it's the screw that's holding the ACL, the bone is swollen around it. So now I'm just waiting on the surgeon to decide, does he have to take it out or will I get away with it? So I haven't really taken off yet.
Yeah. Well, you have a very positive mindset for somebody that's suffering these setbacks, I suppose. Is that something that you're focusing on, or is that something that comes naturally to you?
I do and I don't. Like, I suppose when the ACL happened, I kind of wasn't surprised. It was the first year since I started playing football that I was so inconsistent in my performances. I probably put on, COVID year was the year before, and I probably had put on a few pounds, and that, like, I was a size 32 in shorts and I was going up to 36. So I wasn't surprised when it happened. I just wasn't, for some reason, I wasn't I obviously was upset. I didn't actually admit it to myself till about October, November, when I actually reflected back and was like, actually, Aishling, you're carrying too much, first of all. Like, how's your body even supposed to move? So it kind of came as a not surprise in the end. And then at the same time, the last years I've been playing football, I haven't been enjoying it. So I think it was kind of happened for a reason, telling me to stop. So then I was going on the lifestyle of like, oh, I'm free now for whatever till December. And then when I found out about this, then I was like, oh Jesus, because I'm kind of done my free lifestyle now and kind of want to be back playing a bit. But it's kind of to the stage now. When I met Ray the second time when I got the injection, I said to him, Ray, I actually couldn't care if I ever go back playing sport again, because I was in that much pain with it. And then he kind of looked at me with 10 heads, because he's never. He
doesn't say much, does he?
Doesn't say much.
But what he says is.
And he said that to me as well. He said, normally you're enthusiastic. And I said, Ray, I'm just sick, shit of it at this stage. But even in the last few weeks, I definitely haven't been in the best of form. I feel like subconsciously it is affecting me without me even knowing it. It's probably more so that no exercise is just getting us up a sweat. I did a PT plan there for 10 weeks and it was great. That kept me occupied after Christmas. But now in the last few weeks, like, even if I could straight line jog, I'd say if I got jogging, I'd probably jog for 3 hours and I wouldn't stop, just to get up that sweat and have that feeling of, like, release. I feel like there's so much not anger, but like agitation inside me.
But it is anger though, is it? Because like they say, like with an injury, you do go through the 5 stages of grief as well, or the 7 stages of grief.
Yeah.
So like eventually acceptance will come, but you do have grief, anger and depression to go through as well. But it sounds like there from what you're saying, like you've gone through and you've been incredibly stressed. So you've gone through a lot of stress, but you also sound like you're very self-aware, like, and you can notice, I am under a little bit of pressure here. I'm feeling stressed. I need to kind of look after myself and maybe take a step back. Would that be fair to say?
That's fair to say. I suppose I was lucky enough to be in college with a bunch of girls who are very self-aware, and I would have been very self-aware from young age on. I'd be a very independent person. If I'd always be independent. If I had to go travel on my own, no problem, I'd go on on my own. So I was always kind of my own self. Even my friends would say that to me. But I went to college and I was with a group of girls who constantly spoke about their feelings. Everything was very open, and it was just kind of getting to understand that, there's 2 people in your head. There is one who you're never going to control, who's going to be at you all day long. And there's another side who's trying to control that side, but actually genuinely has no control over it. So I think the first thing to do for everyone is just admit that that guy is there and he's actually not going to go away. But what can I do to maybe calm him down? If I sit and lie in bed all day or sit down, I know that's not going to help me. Whereas if I go for a walk, I know that it might take my mind off it somewhat and it's going to stop it. But I actually, for the first time, we had a sports psychologist with Tip, and Peter Creed, the manager, had been on for me since the start of the year. And he'd be trying to kind of, get in deeper level with me, and I'd never leave him. And he was just saying, would you not just go see her? And I was like, no, I genuinely was strong enough. I was like, no, I have this, like, everything is grand, perspective, there's worse things around the world. But I was away in Greece then for 2 weeks and I came home, and it was the first 2 days in years that I actually felt like I just didn't have control. And it just came out of nowhere. I don't know, was it being away? I didn't do the gym that week for the first time. Was it that? But it was the first time that I actually was like, whoa, like a ton of bricks that just came at me. And that was for years, like 6 years. I'd say it was 6 years the first time that I had kind of my lulls, like my low moments. But since that, it's been A1. But I got onto a psychologist then, and she was just like, you're actually kind of looking after yourself here. You're telling yourself to do it. You're just speaking to me. But I definitely would be very self-aware and know what to do, when to do, what suits me, what doesn't suit me. And I actually, like, down through the years, like, I've helped a lot of people out of dark holes as well, even as of recently. So I think that everyone walking this planet has that little man in their head saying, you can't do it every day, or, make me feel shit about yourself, calling you everything under the sun. I think it's just accepting that man is always going to be there and he's never going to leave. But what are you going to do outside that that's going to actually help you to move forward?
It sounds like you've combated that really well, and like you're incredibly strong, obviously, but it also sounds like your friends have played a very valuable role in that, like, and they've supported you very well, like, and you've developed as a friend group, if that makes sense, and you've supported each other. And sometimes it sounds like you take the leadership role, and other times when you're not feeling your best, somebody else is willing to do that and step in for you. Is that?
Yeah, and I think that's important to admit, that we all can't be the leader all the time. We all have to have our down days, and we all need to speak to someone. And I suppose that's probably part and parcel why I never spoke to someone before about it, even if it was a sports psychologist or be it a counsellor or someone, or a life coach. There's actually one of my friends, Cleve O'Sullivan, who's just absolutely amazing, like. And I think in the moment we'd start laughing at each other, and then sure, it's just, you forget about it then. But I think we bounce things off each other, and without getting too serious about it, I could just be ranting to her and she might just, all I need is a yeah, you're right, even though I might be completely wrong. But it's just being able to admit as well that as strong as what you think you are, no one is. And it is okay to actually speak your emotions to someone and say it to someone. Like people don't realize how someone sitting and listening to them, how powerful it is, and just saying, yeah, I have a brother at home. When I come home from games or if there's something wrong with me, it go mad. I can't go to dad because I know he's going to be too negative. So I go to the brother, Daniel, and I just give out. And he just says, yeah, oh yeah. And one day I just said to him, you're just agreeing with me, aren't you? He's like, yeah. And I was like, that's all I wanted. I wanted someone just to admit to me, even though he didn't even know what I was hearing, just to say, yeah, you're right, actually. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I knew myself I was being so negative and I was being completely wrong, but I just wanted him to say, yeah.
It's not really spoken about though in relation to injury very much, especially like the ACL. You're warned, but you're not really warned like that. You're going to go through this because of the injury. And then sometimes when it happens, as you said earlier, sometimes you think, am I insane? Like this is really getting to me, because I've had a few athletes over the last few weeks even come back from ACL, like mentally, like it might be just for a day or two, but it gets to you. It does get to you. Like, and I may say as well, I've done the ACL and it's been a long road back too. And it is very mentally fatiguing and taxing to just stay focused and stay consistent so frequently every day, because you go in the gym and you're making such minute progress. It can get so frustrating. Like,
yeah. And I think I was making my new progress for what's about, say, 7 or 8 months, going nowhere, like not seeing any progress. People kept telling me, one day one day you're going to win there, and one day you're coming out and you're like, geez, this is it. But for me, now I am seeing it. For me, it took a long time, but I think it's just like, I think I've been lucky in terms of I've had such support from my physio at home running across and from Santry. I feel like once you have a good support unit around you, it definitely makes it easier. Some people say being involved with a team makes it easier. I knew myself that was the worst thing that I could do. I just wanted to be nowhere near it. But it definitely is, like you talk about this morning, I just did the gym and I was in there and I was just like, you're just cursing yourself every 2 seconds. And then you're like, oh, I'll skip the last 2, I'll do that tomorrow. But then you're like, no, I just have to do it now. But it's that grinding.
It's a little man in your head.
Little man in your head, constantly talking to you. Yeah. Like the last set is probably
awful dickhead, really, is.
The last set was wall sit-ups, and I'm like, I'll do them home this evening. Like, I know more going to do them than the man.
You know,
I
just
you're
like
to
not going to do
please myself that I've done great today. I'm going to reward myself by going home and doing the wall sits at home. But see, at the start, I had so much people that had done it. I definitely found it. I remember when I done it, Anna Rose Kennedy, who plays for Tip, one of my teammates, she literally had me put on the straight and narrow straight away with exercises. I remember even going into Raymore and he couldn't get over my range of motion. And I think I just admitted to myself, first of all, after she'd spoke to me, I just had a moment with myself after all that. And I just admitted to myself that I feel like there's too much of a focus on 9 months.
Yeah.
And I had admitted to myself, I just said to myself, I'm not going to be back in 9 months. And it is going to go wrong, and it will go wrong, and it's not going to be this. Because I feel like people put expectations on themselves then. They're reaching for a timeline instead of reaching for actually where they are in terms of the ability of what they're able to do. So when these things happen to me, I didn't come as surprised with the meter. Now, when the last one happened to me, I was kind of like, feck off, because I've taken it now this way. But it was kind of just, I even remember Tommy Conroy, the Mayo football. I wouldn't know Tommy at all, but anyone I hear, I feel sorry for them. But I just wrote to Tommy and I just said, look, I just found this the easiest, just admitting to yourself that it's not going to go right. It mightn't be 9 months. And then you don't have expectations. The first month when you're over testing, I couldn't even, this is the first time I did anything. I squatted down. Normally I'm at home and we have 2 things in a toilet and I'm here holding on to these 2. And that was the first time I actually had to just squat. But for me, that was definitely the game changer, just admitting that we're not on a time scale here. We're on what you can do and your ability and how you can do it.
I love that though. And for some people that wouldn't be used to hearing it, they might think that sounds negative, but it's not at all negative, because you're not saying I'm not going to be ready for 9 months per se, even though you're saying I'll be ready when I'm ready.
Yeah.
So you're giving yourself a bit of leeway to kind of go day by day and go by feel, and you're preventing yourself from being disappointed if it doesn't come together in either 9 or 12 months, which is what a lot of people focus on, and then when it gets to that and they're not fully right, they're like, but you told me I would be.
Yeah.
And my athletes get tick at me as well, because they're always like, so how long? And I was like, I don't know, like I can't say, because I'm not going to say, because it'll be right when it's right. And I know that's frustrating, but longer term, it's probably better for your mental health than short term telling you 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, because it will be right when it's right. It won't do the work for you if you just sit there for 9 months and do nothing.
No.
Not that you have been doing that anyway. It sounds like you've been doing as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
But are you starting to put some pressure on yourself to go back now, or is being away from that team environment reducing the pressure, do you think?
Well, I remember at the start when the whole injection happened, I was kind of half convinced myself that I would be back kind of mid-championship, and that was kind of a goal, even though
I thought you were doing that.
It was still, no, even though it was still like, it doesn't matter if you don't get back, but just keep myself motivated on the side of this.
Okay.
But then when I got the word of the whole injection and everything, I actually went and met Peter, and I just said no. I said it's just not possible, and I knew I wouldn't be right. I just had this feeling in my head that I wouldn't be right, and I just said to him, look, I'm going to step aside for now, and if it is a case where I'm going well, like I'll put my name back in the hat again, try and make the team. But yeah, no, I think it's people build it up. I think there is too much hype around 9 months. A Cork footballer did their ACL there at the weekend, and straight away people on Twitter, 9 months, oh, he's going back for so and so. Some people don't return for a year and a half, 2 years.
Some people don't return at all.
No. But I think in the last few weeks...
Sorry, no, say that as well. Like,
I know, but this is, you have to have these conversations with yourself, because there's no point in codding yourself. And there's no point in come back for a timeline in 9 months when you can't even extend your leg properly or turn left or turn right. It's false promising from the start, and it's going to get you nowhere. You're better off just to deal it on the head. Probably I can be really negative with myself because I can control it, but probably be subtly positive if you can't deal with that. And just say, look, okay, there are things that might go wrong and they mightn't, but look, if it goes well and great. When I heard the last time, I was like, okay, I'll make club championship, which is loads of time. This was back in February, which is August. This is literally like coasting now. Everything is going, I'm giving myself extra months here. But now it's looking like, Aishling, you're actually not even going back for a club championship. So only 2 weeks ago, I was having a conversation with my friend, and she was like, oh, like, you know, you're not going to be back though. And I was like, yeah, no, I will though. And then a few days later, I was just like, actually, do you know what? Cancel it. And if I'm back, I'm back. And if I'm not, I'm not. But I think it's only the last few weeks I've actually just cancelled. I probably potentially won't play football at all this year. And potentially maybe I might play basketball or something for the winter, or like take up soccer or do something different that I mightn't have had the opportunity to before. So it's kind of, you're kind of like knocking yourself away from like, I'm actually losing out here, but maybe actually you're actually not. Maybe you're playing basketball now.
But what would be the worst case scenario would be if you went back too early and then it happened again. Imagine going through the process again. Yeah,
and I've heard it so many times, and it's probably because I've spoken to people who have got it done and have warned me not to go back early. Like, it's funny when you say it, people ask you how long it'll be. At the start, that kind of was me in terms of like jogging and stuff. I was in Santry since January. He told me in January running in 6 weeks. That 6 weeks passed. We did a strength test. It's only 30% deficit on either side, which is massive. Told me now 6 weeks to get it either side. Someone asked me, when are you going to be running? I said, I actually didn't even ask, because I was just like, he'll tell me when I'm able to run. I lived on the first 6 weeks, and I didn't get disappointed because I knew that I wasn't able to run at all. But then I just was like, okay, there's no point. We'll just aim for this same leg, same strength, same whatever, for 6 weeks time. And that's all in my head now. I'm just presuming in my head that he's not having me jogging or doing any of that because of the screw, because he needs to get clearance from the surgeon. So I've just been like, okay, that's in the background now. I know anyway that it's not right at doing it. I went drinking on Sunday night. I had 3 drinks. I sat there for the whole night, and ever since Sunday, it's been killing me. Yeah, I've been lying in bed, and I've been lying.
Nobody tells you that either.
I can't even lift my leg up like that in my stomach, because it feels like my joint is actually hanging like a chicken wing. I can feel as if there's like cartilage. Like, I know there's not because I've never tried, but it's agamy and it's swollen and it's just so hormonal since the last 4 days. So I just know that I'm not capable of running yet. And even today, I was walking up to the line and I was just there and I was like, you know what, my knee still doesn't feel right yet at all. Like, and it's only 30% deficit either side, where it was 90 last December.
But you're focusing on what you can control in a sense, because you're like, right, well, I'm not going to be able to run and I'm not going to be able to do whatever, but I can focus on getting the strength back into my quads so that it's closer to 10% difference between the two, so that then I can go back running rather than I'm getting back running.
Yeah.
You're focusing on what gets you there.
Numbers don't lie, is it for me? Because I remember for 4 months there, we didn't know where we were. And I also was on a calorie deficit. And it obviously isn't great to be doing that while you're trying to recover. But I knew myself that I needed to lose 5 or 6 kg. And I've done that now and it's done. And I don't look back at it. It's completed. But I remember then it's kind of like, okay, where are we? And the physio was like to me, numbers don't lie. And I was like, bring it. Like, that's what I want. I want figures on a sheet of paper that I can strive for. So we did the test. And he was shocked. I was completely shocked because I was in pain the last 4 months. So then it was like, right. 2 was, it gave me more motivation then to strive for another number. Now I actually got COVID. So, and I had a wedding between 3 weeks when I was supposed to be active. Just up them last week. So I actually,
I'm moving away from you.
So there's actually 2%, there's 2% greater deficit. But he was like, look, I actually expect you to be completely null because of COVID. Because he said, I know something about immune system and all that and your muscles.
Well, you're ill, like.
Yeah, you're ill. So now it's 6 weeks to end June. So this is the big one now. Like, this is where this kind of do or die for me now. Like, because I'm just myself, I'm getting sick, but I'm like, this, I can control the quad. Like, I can do this myself. It's not causing me any pain. Let's just boom this out now. And whatever has to happen in the meantime, be it surgery or not, it's boomed and it's cut and it's not going on for another 6 months. Because
you will get sick of it though.
Oh,
and
as
I said to you off camera earlier, like, my patella was giving me a little bit of trouble today, but that was my own doing essentially. So you just have to mind it. So I was doing split squats earlier. So 1 foot in front of the other and touching the knee off the floor.
Yeah.
With a fair bit of weight at my back. Not a huge bit, you know that I'm skinny enough.
Yeah.
But like when you touch it off the floor, if you don't touch it very gently, now because the graft is gone, like, so it's still on that 1 point, it can be a bit sore.
Yeah.
It kind of made it flare up a little bit. And then obviously coming down in the car, like sitting with the knee bent. Yeah. So then now I'm at a stage where I know how to get rid of it as well. So like I can get rid of it within an hour. Whereas, you know, probably the stage you're at now, you're like, oh, I need to get rid of it. And it might take 3 or 4 days before it goes away.
Yeah.
So I'm now grateful that I can get rid of it so fast. And I know how to get rid of it because I've gone through that process.
Yeah.
And you'll get to that stage as well. But I think you do get to a point, like there was a stage there. Now I'm only just being a lunatic and being stupid doing split squats anyway. I don't need to do them. Typical strength and conditioning coach mentality, I suppose. But you will get to a stage where it'll go a number of months and you'll think then one day you're like, geez, I can't remember the last time my knee was at me.
Yeah. So
like, although you're told it will go away completely, you still have to look after yourself to make it go away completely. And it still may get aggravated from time to time, but it's about learning about your body and learning what makes it angry and what makes it feel good, I suppose. And what gets rid of the man in your head too.
Yeah, because it's funny that you say that, because I was having ear troubles before I got the injection. So then when I got the injection, and Rose was having that same issue, and when I got the injection, I had no stiffness in the knee driving. I was fully confident that this wasn't going to happen to me then if I went back. So I was like you're at the other end now, I'm thankful now that I did get the injection to it. Because all of them things are gone. I don't have any of them.
You never get that anymore.
No stiffness. And I thought it was my joint, but it was actually the patella and my fat pad where they dig in the two at the front. These are rock hard. And the minute they put in the injection, well, like a week after, it's complete jelly. Like it was a life-changing experience. The front of it, kneeling down, the stiffness in the knee. I was walking like this for 5 minutes.
Was your stress far lower than that couple of weeks afterwards as well?
Oh yeah.
Which would then affect like your recovery as well positively.
Yeah, and it was Christmas time and I didn't even go out and drink because this was just such a drug to me that I was like, I'm not even risking this. Couldn't even take Nurofen or nothing like that. And I was completely off the drink then for the month of December because it was just feeling so good, like that I could actually go from clutch to accelerator. But even little things like
literally.
that, yeah. But little things like that, I was up at the physio 3 weeks ago and he ended up strapping the front. He thought my fat pad was causing aggravation actually. And I was kind of at the verge of the knee here on the joint bone where the screw was causing an issue, but he told me to tape it. So a week in, I was taping it. Today I go to the gym and I didn't tape it. No pain. And I was just like, here's another little positive. Hip hip hooray. Like, couldn't do a pistol squat for the last 7 months, but now can do one.
Can you? Yeah, you're at that stage now.
I was at that stage since January.
Okay.
I'm struggling though. Completely struggling, like in so much pain. But it's only in the last, like the last session, the last time, this morning was the first time that I went up and down 4 sets of 8.
Nice.
And no pain.
That's great. Like that's great.
I know
progress.
These are the little things that like you be living off, you know. You come out of the gym today and
people think we're mad then as well. Like.
And then obviously my leg is so tired from everything I've done today. Then I'm at home then like testing out, I don't know, trying to sit down because the aim was to pistol squat 15 times, but I still can't do that. So
that's hard. Like there are people that would struggle to do that. Well, is it to a chair or is it to a box?
To a box, yeah. So that's kind of the given for return to running. I think it's to be able to do that 50 times. Now I can't even do that on my good leg. I don't know, my legs are extra long anyway. So I think I'm at a complete disadvantage with it.
Yeah, fair.
Extra long.
Bring it up with the physio.
There's some of the physics there now that they just haven't.
Pause. I haven't taught you something.
Yeah, but so that's where I am now. It's just kind of I'm waiting to hear now and then.
Sounds like you're enjoying the process a little bit more than you were previously, especially maybe doing a bit of PT as well, training by yourself, because you'd be very used to training in a group setting because you've participated with so many teams down through the years. And I know when you're in DCU, you would do the odd bits of gym together, but you'd have group sessions a lot of the time too.
Yeah, and I actually hated the gym, like allergic to the gym, always. Down through the years, hated it. And then literally when I did the PT course, it changed my life in terms of this is actually not bad. Do you know, was getting a kick off it. I was doing no lower legs off, I was doing all of body, but even seeing myself like getting stronger, weights going up, like where I started from doing that with one hand at the start I had to do is 2. Like it was all these little kind of targets throughout the 10 weeks that I was just surprised with. But now I have no issue going into the gym now. Before I don't know, I lack confidence, so I'd say. Do you know, I never actually knew how to do anything really like, and do you know, other girls in the team were, do you know, weights on the back, and I was just like, no, it's not my area. Just put me out in the field, let me do a bit of, do you know, kicking and soloing. But I got into it then. I don't mind it now. But I do know in the last few weeks, I keep trying every morning. I said last week, then I was like this week, but I need to do the gym at 8 or 7 or 8 in the morning, because if I leave it lapse throughout the day, first of all, the gym session isn't as good because I'm just getting through it, because either I'm meeting someone afterwards, I'm rushing somewhere. So the next gym session now is Friday. So Friday morning I'm going to be up at 7 or 8 because I have to, or else I just won't get it done.
Although that's quite rigid, like it does sound like you've moved from in the past being fairly fixed in your mindset to more of a growth mindset with it now. Like you're like, previously you were telling yourself, this isn't my thing, I'm not good at this, I'm good at scoring points, I'm good at soloing. But I'm never going to be good at this. Whereas now you're like seeing the process and the numbers don't lie. As you said, you're getting really into the numbers and you can see them going up, and you're maybe realizing like, gee, anybody could do this. Like, just be consistent with it and it happens.
Oh, consistency and like just diet. Like I used to struggle hitting protein when I was playing for a tip, and even though I was in a calorie deficit, I still got stronger over them 3 months. It was 30% difference, and he couldn't get over that because he was just like,
because your protein went up.
My protein went up. Yeah, I was doing 140 grams a day, like, so I was hitting no problem at all. Easy work. And before then I'd be struggling to hit it, whereas it was just breaking down the meals a day, like, you know, splitting it into breakfast, you know, hitting it that way. But
was it good to have the bit of guidance initially?
Oh yeah, 100%. I feel like I learned more in that 10 weeks than what I've done throughout all the years, like just in terms of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, or portion size. Like mom is such a home cook cooker, like homemade everything, but you know, bowl of pasta this size, just pasta.
Pasta's a hard one to get right now, you know.
Or
You're pouring it in the
rice that size.
Yeah.
But it's even like little things now that I'd be conscious of. Well, I wouldn't be over conscious of, but like say now with the leg and all for the next 6 weeks, just if she just gives a tomato pasta dish, I then have a can of tuna afterwards or something.
Okay.
Just so I know that
Tasty.
there's something going in, like in protein terms. You know?
Yeah.
But it was all portion size. And I was drinking 13 liters of milk a week. Yeah, that was. I never drink water, like. I never did.
You were drinking that a second ago.
Yeah, no, I drink water now.
Okay. Just be polite to me.
I always drank it for matches and stuff, but like it was never. If I had to go for a drink during the day, it was pints of milk. It was 3 or 4 at dinner. Like,
are you dairy farmer?
No, poultry, pheasants, and.
Why are you obsessed with milk for?
Don't know. It's just since I was younger, like absolute obsession with it. Never ever water. Now our tap water at home isn't great, so I always kind of blame that because I don't mind bottled water. But then when I started this, it was like trying to hit 1.5 a day, and then it was going up to 2 liters a day, and I was finding no problem. And he was even saying like, "You're just so bloated on milk, like you're just going around with milk in you." So I honestly, milk now is for my breakfast in the morning, Weetabix, and even at that, I'm struggling to keep it down. Like, but that's it. No more milk then for the rest of the day.
And you're finding you're feeling better because of that? Feeling
better, way more energetic, like less phlegm in my throat and stuff. Like I'd wake up in the morning and I'd be completely caught up. Like
13 liters is so much.
13 liters.
There's no one else
I
doing
used
that.
To go to, on a Sunday, I used to go to college into Lidl and I'd buy 3 liters, 6 liters. That would get me to Thursday. Then in Friday morning I'd have to go in because I'd need more, and I'd go into the shop in DC and I'd get another litre, 2 liters.
Not cheap there either.
No, and mom knows it. Mom used to spend a wicked money milk a week, sure, because well, there's me drinking the 13 liters, and then on top of that, then there's my 2 brothers and dad. But she'd notice even now, like if the milk's starting to be used a bit more, she knows it's me because it was crazy there. It was just 3 liters a day there for a while, like just bringing milk into the house. But yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, like I'd struggle to get some of my athletes to drink milk though, but you're the far end of the spectrum.
Oh yeah, I don't even know where it began. Like it was just never ever liked water. Like now I like if I'm thirsty now, like love like go home. Last night even I was down with thirst, like just wanted a glass of water, like and how it has just changed around in 10 weeks. But I suppose your body just gets kind of used
to what you're doing. But it sounds like now, if and when you do get back to playing football, you have the tools now to be a far better athlete than previously when you weren't maybe focused on this stuff. You were only focused on what you were doing on the pitch. You weren't really worried about what you were doing in the gym, what you were eating, etc. Now, like you're probably thinking like, what's gonna make me a better athlete tomorrow or in the here and now, I suppose.
Not even. I'd have to disagree with you on that one. I can't take anything seriously ever. Like,
but sounds like you're being pretty serious now.
Yeah, no, I am in terms of that probably. But in terms of football, like last year in terms of nutrition, I tried to do it, and the nutritionist that we had, I actually went to, and I was just completely like sick and bloated and lethargic, and I went to her and I said, look, like my diet isn't bad. I'm a very good eater. Like on a weekend, night before games, like kebab, pizza, does me no harm, feel so energetic. Morning of the match, a Weetabix, 2 Weetabix, that's it, does me for the day. And that's always been the way I've been like. So when I went to her, I just said, I feel so like stuck to the ground, lethargic. And she said, look, maybe you're just an exception to the equation. And I said, look, I'm not being disrespectful. I was like, I genuinely think that just doesn't suit. Like I'd eat my proper meals and this and that, but I wouldn't be concentrating so much. And like, well, now I would have protein. No, I definitely would have that in my mind. With carbohydrates and stuff, I wouldn't. But
you're not moving as much now as you would when you're playing, I suppose.
Yeah. And I went back eating normally then after that, the way I just normally healthily, like I'd always eat healthy, like just eggs, avocado, bread, and more, and like whatever mom cooks at home, be it a vegetarian or like whatever it is, and I was just so energetic again. And she was laughing at me. She was just like, I just don't really get you, to be honest. And I was like, I don't get myself either, but I just know that this works for me. Like, but I am definitely, in terms of the gym, it always kind of scared me really, but I am excited that when I do get over the hurdle of going back to running, to perhaps go to maybe a sprints coach. I feel like that's definitely something that I want to, for the winter months even, is that's definitely something that's going in mind to actually do. When I was with Shane McCormack, I remember he was piling on the weights onto me, and my hamstrings were falling off for about 10 days. But at that time, I wasn't confident in the gym, and we were going back playing football, and my body wasn't able for like the load of that and the load of
and the football,
so I had to cut it. But definitely, that is my goal though. At the end of when I can get the go ahead to go doing something, that I'd attend a sprints coach and build up my speed more.
Absolutely, like, and I definitely recommend that when you're coming back, because there will be a point where you're able to do linear speed, but probably change the direction. You're not at a level where you can do it at a very high intensity. But the approach that I use, similar to yourself, is when I was doing the linear speed, it's like, right, well, they said I can do linear. They never limited the intensity at which I can do it. And they never, well, not straight away, but I was like, they never limited how much I could do really either. So I was like, why don't I just get really, really good at straight line, like far better than before I did the injury. Yeah. And then when I get to change the direction, why don't I get better at change of direction than I did before the injury as well?
Yeah.
Because you have time to train by yourself. Whereas you just touched on it there. When you're with a team, especially if you're playing football and camogie, which you have with the club in the past, like, you don't have time to do individual sessions alongside what you're already doing, because you're on pitch and on feet so much that if you add more load onto it, injuries happen.
Yeah. And it was even with the weight at the time, like I took the chance of that was probably going to set me back, but I never would have got the chance to do that again. And I knew that if I didn't get my weight down, now the week after it, now even like I'm just walking around, I'm bouncing off the floor, like I'm walking and I'm bouncing. Whereas before I just stuck to the ground, like I knew clothes weren't fitting me at home, and I was just like, I'm not going to get this opportunity again. I'll actually take the chance in this. And I said that to the physio as well. I was like, I just need to get rid of this. And I got rid of it, and I've held my own weight since that. I haven't been conscious of what I'm eating or anything, but that's the thing, you see. It's like now I have a chance to actually work on my speed. Like I remember I was up to 31 kilometers an hour at one point. We used to wear the GPS, and then I went down to 26. So I was like, no. And
was that over the course of the season?
That
was, reduced?
From
maybe because
one
of fatigue,
season to another, and I was like, no, like I would always have considered myself very fast, and I just felt last year I lost that, and that's something that I think is just critical in sport these days. You don't have to have any skill. Once you can run and you run fast and you can just hold on to the ball and pass it,
there'll be a space on the team for you. Well, doesn't matter how many wides you kick.
Hopefully. Yeah. But I think speed is just like the all and all. Like I don't really think it is.
Yeah. Well, it definitely helps you as an athlete, probably more so than other qualities, because in team sports, like what you're focused on is space. So it's either finding the space or closing the space, depending on your position.
Yeah.
So if you're able to find that space or get to that space or close that space quicker than your opponent, that's going to be an advantage to you. Now, when you get to that space and you have to put it over the bar, it obviously would be an advantage as well to have the skill level to do that. Yeah. But at the same time, I think what you're kind of getting at is there are players on the field that are incredible athletes, and they just run past everyone, solo way past everyone, and then they just look for someone, hand pass it off them, because they know that in terms of skill level, they might not be there. And there is people on the opposite side of that as well that are really, really skillful, but not very athletic.
Yeah. Quick turn of feet then.
Yeah, but it can be quite hard to do that, as you get, like, you have to work on both really, don't you?
Yeah.
You're lucky though, because you are like already quite a skillful footballer, like from a footballing sense specifically, not just an athletic standpoint. So when you get back and you've worked on the athleticism and the speed and you have the skill level hopefully still there, then hopefully you'll be able to be an even better footballer, is the theory, I suppose. And that's probably, is that what you're focused on now? Or is it you're just focused on
speed
and running?
Yeah, speed, run to the shop. Run away from someone. No, football is definitely in my head. I was at the game at the weekend and like it's always going to be there, but I think for what I can control right now and how I can make myself better going into next year, I think I know well if I done the weight, that's done. And if I don't do the speed, I know that I'll just kill myself because I know I'll be so moody with myself and I'll kill myself once because I know I'll never ever get the opportunity to do this again. Like I won't and that's why I need to take this as like a big massive advantage. Because I think as a forward, being out in front of your player, getting there, you can get there and then be on your back, or you can get there and you can give yourself time to turn around and think. So I prefer to get there, maybe give myself time to think, than to do something. So I think speed will definitely contribute to maybe some sort of that.
I haven't set this up, by the way, as well. Like I didn't pay or anything to say all this stuff, but I hope there's a lot of people listening to it. So you are thinking about football at the moment. So when you do go back to football, inevitably, I'm going to say, even though we're using that growth mindset of whatever happens, are you going to, or even you might not be even thinking about this yet, are you going to just focus on maybe, right, I'm going back to football, I'm just going to focus on football and just maybe start with 1 session a week or 2 sessions a week and integrate yourself back into it slowly, rather than maybe in the past thinking club, county, football, and what we said there, camogie as well? Like that might be a bit too much initially.
Well, I'm completely unknown as to what the protocol is for going back into sport. So I actually haven't a clue, but if it was the case, it would probably just be football with club. And it might be just the 5 or 10 minutes here and there and training with them and stepping in, stepping out. But when the time comes past that, when I can fully indulge in it again, well then I'll be all in or nothing. There'll be no 10, 20, 30. Obviously, if that means that goes on into next year, that I still have to get in my 10, 20, 30, that's fair. But the minute I get kind of go ahead to just go, well then there'll be none of that anymore. It'll just be straight down the middle. Like
leave me alone, let me do my thing.
Obviously I have to look after myself. I'll continue to do that, because I even see Anna Rowe, she's continuously doing stuff on her operated leg, and that's something I'm just gonna have to do for the rest of my life. But like I'm kind of all or nothing. Like once I'm in, or if I'm out, I'm out.
Sounds it.
Yeah, I don't.
It's a good thing and a bad thing.
There's no half measures, and I just think it's fair in everyone as well. Like,
Yeah.
Because I'm in a team environment. It's not. If it was me, I could decide in the morning to do whatever I want. But everyone has a responsibility because they're in a team to row in with each other, and I'm just very like black or white. Like I'm in or out. And
are you missing the team environment at all?
I'm missing the crack, and I've kind of stayed away from it just to kind of give myself a complete break and probably refresh the brain. And oftentimes I want to go training, but I just say no, don't. To not even go up, like? No, I've been there once 2 weeks ago after I talked to sports psychologist. She recommended I just go up to feel the atmosphere and see what I think. And sure, it was grand. Like I had probably bigged up my head to be too much, but I just haven't gone near it. I went to club train that time. It's not too serious. It's just a bit of crack. And other than that, then I just take the opportunity maybe to go do things them nights that I actually wouldn't. Like, so stupid to say, but late on a Friday night I absolutely love. And I just remember training on a Friday night.
So Tipperary, like.
Yeah, so Tipperary. I remember on a Friday night I was like, oh, I'd love to sit down and watch late from start to finish. So it's just a small thing. So lying in bed on a Sunday morning, maybe getting up. We have a coffee shop here, Lava Rock, or Lazy Bean toast sandwich, chill out, no pressures, you're not sweating for the day. Go to the county matches now. Went to the county matches in Stadium, Clare and Cork. Things I wouldn't have got to do before. But it's amazing when you go to them how much you appreciate that you actually can be here. It's so stupid, but it's just if I was training, I'd just be rushed, I'd be sweaty, and I'm just like, I'm not arsed. Whereas now you can just go enjoy the atmosphere, turn us 2 seconds away, come away 5 minutes earlier, no traffic, head home. It's like you watch the match on TV. But it does, like, people are going to be like, that's so stupid. Like, why is she enjoying the Late Late Show? Like, why is she enjoying the Lion on Sunday? Like, sure, they're real small things, but because you were missing them, I suppose, for so long, and you touched on earlier, you weren't really enjoying how much you were putting into the football at the time. You probably are more grateful now, and you appreciate them more
because you didn't have them for so long, I guess.
Yeah, and it's kind of like just if I go back and I go back into that again or start dipping in, dipping out, like I need to starve myself of it. That's my plan now. I'm going to starve myself of it.
Of the football.
Like starve myself that I actually, like, I don't really know what's going on in camp. Like, I haven't a clue. And starve myself so much that when I do come back next year, whereas considering I came off the back of potentially burnout is what the sports psychologist was saying to me, it's not really helping the cause, like me going in. I know myself if I'm allergic, like, so especially because I can't do anything. But yeah, it's just starve myself to the last point that when I do come back next year that I'm just completely fresh and looking forward to it.
Do you think it's harder for you, given that you've been in that leadership role for so long, that you need that clean break because maybe others look to you for that bit of leadership and then you might put a little bit of pressure on yourself? Because I know you said earlier you did work on that yourself, that bit of leadership, and you did the leadership course. So it sounds like it is something that you would be conscious of when you're in camp, when you're in with the team.
No, I wouldn't. It's not something I put pressure on myself, but I feel like when we were going up in Tipperary, I remember being 18 and I was nearly like, a few of us were there and we were kind of, it was just natural. It just happened. I don't know how it happened. And then since that, it's just been like the same people that have kind of just been up there and probably ahead of the pack, like, with things, but it's not something that I'm conscious of. I just feel like maybe perhaps the way I was playing and I was playing well consistently that I probably ended up being in that role. It's not something that I put myself in.
Do you enjoy it though?
I do, yeah, I do. I just feel like that when you're naturally kind of in that role and it's just naturally something that you don't mind doing, I just feel like that it also gives you a kick that when you're in the pitch that, you know, actually I'm actually probably here, like, you know, probably a leader here, maybe potentially get a ball, maybe get a goal, will it change the game? Or, like, you know, encourage someone to, like, get a block and may change the game. It's just them key moments in the game that you can kind of have some bit of influence on. When you're sitting on the side and like I was on Sunday watching them, like, you have no control over that side of things. Like, it's completely their camp, like, but it's not something I put pressure on. I feel like what happened was COVID year came and I got a taste of sitting at home in the summer having a barbecue drinking, or after a match with the girls in care going drinking, and I was like, I knew in the moment this is the worst thing that could happen to me, like, because, and I feel like everyone was like that though. Everyone had that kind of fear and fright that, Jesus, like, this is a bit crazy, do you know how much I'm loving this, and, you know, kind of good luck to football, affect football, like, well, I'm missing out on this. Like, this is what everyone's at every year. Like, they're going drinking, they're having barbecues, going to Portugal on Sunday. I was just back from Greece there. I was in Dubai for the month of November. And it's just like, there's that part that there's the other side of living as well. But I think one thing that I take from this is that you need to find yourself outside of sport. You need to find who you are. You can't constantly rely on going training either to clear that headspace. You also have to find something outside that fits the bill. If it's going for coffee, if it's going for breakfast, you need to identify yourself away from sport. And I think when I go back, I'll probably be way more relaxed. I always was completely laid back. Anyone would say that knows me on the team. I'm completely laid down, like, no hesitation or anything. But I feel like I'll be a further step of relaxed. Like, I'm going back to a new team. Like, I don't know some of the girls. It's a new management team. I have to work for my place. Like, it's something that is completely different to me than mightn't have been so for other years. So I'm going into a very unknown territory where I'm starting at the bottom. Like, everyone else is way ahead of me, and I'm going to have to try to get myself up there and get myself back on that team again. And that's something that's a challenge for me when I go back, and it's a different focus for me. Whereas other years, it's just being kind of like, you nearly know, like, that you're going to be in there. You're not going to go away.
It sounds like there's going to be less tunnel vision, even though you say you're all or nothing. Now you're going to say, look, I'm going to give it 100%, but I also need to have a coffee with the girls on a Saturday when I can and refill my cup a little bit.
Oh yeah, and that's probably the dangerous part, is because I'll have to have that at the weekend, or, like, you know, well, not even that. It's probably biggest regret is nearly parties, you know, not going to a party because everyone's there having the crack, and I'm not going to go because, you know, what's the point of me going? But instead, maybe just go to these events and just go and sit for an hour and talk and come away. Like, it's not, don't completely cut yourself off from what's going on, kind of, more so than anything.
Seems more rational perspective than
just stop being so like hermit, sitting at home the whole time. And it's mad because, like, you know, I look at like the men's, you know, intercounty men's, and I'm like, the poor devils can't even go and sit in the pub though, because it's going to be presumed that they're drinking though. But I definitely think that in terms of different little things like that, stop being so much of a hedgehog hibernating. Just enjoy yourself and the little things a bit more, like, and when you get the opportunity to maybe go and sit at a party for an hour, just go and sit. Or maybe instead go away for a night away in the weekend, fit it into the bill, like, so you also feel like that you're relaxing, you're not just solely Friday and Sunday is your football weekend. Like, it's actually, no, you can do something else actually, Aishling, on that weekend, that kind of thing.
You sound really wise, like, about how you're talking about yourself now and how you're talking to yourself, your self-talk, which is something that maybe you've worked on with a psychologist, or maybe it's something that has happened naturally. But like, this injury, although it's been crap, it seems to have taught you a lot about yourself and about how you should approach football in your life going forward after the injury, I suppose.
Yeah, and like, I'm actually, in a way, I'm kind of thankful that it came, because it definitely opened up opportunities for me. It made me actually sit down and think to myself. Even as my friend Queeve would say, she said, do you know, when you're sitting in a coffee shop and you mightn't be thinking of anything, but like sitting in that silence and whatever ponders through your head is, you know, there's little domino effects going through your head, and just sitting in yourself and actually sitting in silence for a while and just having a chat with yourself. Do you know, Jesus, do you know, woke up this morning, today's a shite day, rain outside. Do you know, these little things that just having a little chat with yourself and being more kind of reflecting on yourself a bit more. Whereas I suppose when I was in football, I didn't have time to think. Like, I remember going back to football last year, and I remember just breaking down crying to my friend. I was like, I actually can't, like, go back to this. And it's just commitment at first, but once you go back into it, then you're training, you're just like, oh, I'm loving this. But she was like, what's wrong with you? I was like, I just haven't had the chance to reflect on myself like the last months. Like, I just haven't had the chance to reflect on myself. And I know myself that every few weeks I have to sit down myself and reflect on myself, or else, like, I'm just going to keep going and it's going to just burn at the other end of the stick. Like, it's just going to come like an avalanche at some stage. So it's just kind of giving myself that more time to kind of sit down and reflect on what's going on.
When you sit down, do you just basically just sit there and think, or do you write it at all, or do you talk to somebody sometimes about it?
I prefer to just sit in my own company, or else I love going out for a drive up the V. I love, like, it's just so peaceful and stuff, and it's just sitting there and just kind of reflecting on maybe what has gone on that month. So say this month now, it's like, okay, I got COVID, that's just annoying, like, you know, I could have had that now done there, but look, we'll do this then. Actually, I'm kind of thinking, maybe will I apply for that sports psychology master's? Okay, yeah. And it's kind of reflecting, maybe I've been in a bit bad form here the last while, like, why is that? Like, I'm taking out mum and dad, kind of just acknowledging, like, the little things that might have gone on, instead of not having that conversation with yourself. Just keep going, hate everyone around you at home, not acknowledge it, and then just losing your head at something. Yeah. But it's just like, I love it, but I'm such an independent person. It comes to me anyway, like, because sometimes I just love being on my own, like. Yeah. But it's just learning to say no as well to people. Like, if you've something organized, just, you can say no
for yourself.
Yeah, for yourself, if you need that time to actually just reflect. And if things, like today, I had organized to meet someone at 2, and I was up the walls this morning because I had so much going on, and I was like, oh my god, I have this application due tomorrow, and I just rang them and I was like, look, I actually can't make it today, and they're like, no problem. It's just like, you know, sometimes we build this up in our head to be actually just way bigger, and I think you have to look after yourself. You can always try to please everyone else, but like, you really do need to look after yourself as well, like, and check in with yourself.
So although even in a sporting environment, and I suppose when you're talking about your family as well, it's team first, but in order to be team first, you have to be focused on yourself as well, and focused on you being the best that you can be and in the best form you can be.
Oh, if I go out in the field and if there's something that's bothering me in my head, good luck. That's going to go to that corner flag. That's going to go to that corner flag. I'll stand in front of the post. It won't go over. Like, I remember I stood up in the room with the girls, I say it was 3 years ago, and I'd be such like a mental health advocate. Like, I'd be just all about it, because I genuinely feel that when you're in your best frame of mind playing football, you will play your best football. And if that means coming into training, one day I did it, turn on Sweet Home Alabama and blaring it to highest, just to get yourself into that mood. Sometimes I do it, I just do it to get myself into that mood.
It's a good tune, like,
wasn't
you
it?
couldn't
Yeah,
knock it, like.
Everyone has this tune that just kind of like, gets me in good form. But I remember standing up in the dressing room, I was like, genuinely, I was like, all of us have shit going on. And I said, every single one of us, but like, we kind of have to like learn to deal with it. And if we have a sports psychologist, you just need to go and talk to them if you have an issue going on and get yourself in that mind frame. Because I said, one negative reaction to someone on the field is also their bad day gone, but they decide that they're going to be negative. And I think that's what I was just saying. Like, I was kind of half tempted to do maybe masters in sports psychology. I just think that once your head is in good form and there's no distractions going on left and right, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve in the pitch once you're confident. But I know myself, once anything is bothering me, honest to God, nothing will go right in the pitch though. Like, nothing. Balls will go wide. Like, it's so important. And that's how I'm in a team sport. I bounce off people to get me in good form. You look at like Phil Healy or Katie Taylor, you're like, how do they do it? Like, do you know?
They have a team as well sometimes, though, around them.
Yeah, but when they actually go into the ring or when they're on that track, they're standing there before that starts and they're actually psyching themselves up. Whereas if I'm in bad form, I can just go and eye someone else on the team and like, oh, push them over, and they're like messing with me. And I use them as well to get me in good form, and use different things like maybe cover over that there's something going on, like I'm hitting someone, or like, do you know, I bounce off them to get me in good form. Or someone's sagging me. Someone comes in and sags me, like, oh, go away from me. And then I'm laughing. And then I'm like, oh, I don't want to laugh, but I'm laughing here now. I'm in good form. That's why I find it so powerful how individual athletes get themselves into that mind frame where, you know, because once that bell goes, like with a race, and you've one lap to run, you've run in your fastest time. Like, you only have like that. Is it even a minute, like, to get around that track?
No, it's not. It's less.
It's less, like 20-30 seconds.
There's no next ball, like.
No, there's no next ball. We get a next ball. You know, first ball comes in and you get absolutely done for. And then you're like, oh, sure, I have 60 minutes here. Plenty of time to recover myself. Whereas with someone like that, it's just like the level of motivation and like self-talk and, you know, psychology that's going on with them is just amazing.
Mate, like, Aishling, this has been brilliant and it's been real powerful, and I think it'll be great for anybody that's going through an ACL injury or any injury at all. I think, like, there's so many lessons to be learned from this chat, so thanks a million. We're just going to move on to quick fire questions now before we finish. So the first one is your proudest achievement to date.
Captain O'Connor Cup DCU to the All-Ireland final. I think that game in general was just like everything went right for me personally anyway, and just for the team. And then in second year, being able to captain such great players to college's All-Ireland final was just a standout moment. Favorite athlete of all time? Currently, I'd say has to be David Clifford.
Ridiculously.
Where does one even start with him? It's just crazy. His skill level, like his attitude even, it's just amazing. It was Colin Cooper growing up. I don't know, I'm also a fan of Kerry.
Yeah. You'll have to pick one of the tip lads next time. Artists you've been listening to a lot recently?
Dolores Keane, actually, today.
Really?
It depends on my mood. I vary an awful lot, but I am a big fan of country music. But Dolores Keane, Farewell to Australia, was playing all day today.
Is that suggesting something?
No,
it's in the future.
Oh.
As in, you have a good few friends down there. Would you like to go down there and give it a go?
I think right now I'm just kind of more so, maybe if this hadn't happened to me, it probably would have happened next year maybe. But the fact that this ACL has happened now, I feel like there's a few years to be caught up on with football and
getting fast. And
I suppose getting back to football first of all is probably number one on the list before I.
That was very selfish for me to ask that now. I apologize. Who's playing you in the movie?
What's that question? I was reading, I didn't understand it.
Like an actress or an actor.
Oh, I don't do movies anyway, so I can't even answer.
You can't even answer us that.
I'd say I've watched 5 movies in my lifetime.
And you couldn't pick someone from one of them?
Couldn't even name them, like Jennifer Aniston from, what was it? Was it Gone Girl? No. I couldn't tell you.
Jennifer Aniston, I wonder, is she any good under a high ball?
No good.
No, probably not. Have you been reading any books lately?
No.
Physics for Dummies?
No. I meant to start reading a few, like, psychology ones.
Yeah.
But I actually just haven't got onto it. I'm not great at the reading either. Like, I can't focus. I can't sit down. I'll get half page and I'll read the next half and I'm like, what happened there? And I'll go back in and I'll have to finish off.
Yeah.
But that's definitely something.
What about audiobooks?
Yeah, it's something I'm most up into actually. It's kind of these little pastimes I want to take up. Like, I was actually going to take up the guitar as well as a pastime.
Sounds like you put a lot on yourself. You're like, I need to do all of these things at once.
I need to tick them all off the box.
What's the biggest thing you've learned in the last 12 months?
I think maybe to like be appreciative of the people around you and people who are close to you. I suppose since I've been injured, I'm not in a team environment anymore, and I suppose then people who have been there for me and willingly, not even in terms of emotion, like just drive me somewhere or something like that. And I think just appreciate people around you. And I feel like if you're in an injury, just try to put things into perspective, because there's a lot of different stuff going on out there and there's a lot of people in worse positions than what you are. So I think it's opened up my eyes to just be more aware of people's situations. My leg is still there, it's not gone away. Some people have no leg, some people are amputated. So like, just as bad as things are for you, everyone's problem is a problem, no matter how small or big it is. But just to have in the back of your head also that there is actually someone right now who potentially has been given bad news. So I think just to be more like aware of what's going on out there.
What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
To enjoy yourself more. I feel like I'm catching up on what I didn't get to do when I was 18 or 19, and if I was back again, I definitely would have went traveling for a year or two of those years and gotten it out of the system. That's not to say it was a regret, but it's just, if I was back again, I feel I probably would have had a more crawl for football for a longer period of time, and that whole burnout thing would happen to me. So
more barbecues in the garden then.
More barbecues in the garden. More going to parties.
Aishling, thanks million. That's been brilliant. Really good. So thanks for coming on as a guest.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me.